Democrats of today have become more delusional, more radical, and yes, more violent than ever before. Now, the way they choose to get things done is through threats, coercion, and of course, intimidation. The rhetoric is often public calls for violence, violence that is all too often carried out, as we've seen on the streets across America. Today, after watching the response to the Chauvin Floyd verdict, I actually believe there are Black Lives Matter Antifa street terrorists that are disappointed by this verdict. The reason? They actually wanted to riot last night, and of course they needed an excuse to do it. Last night they didn't get one, but they still turned out to show us all they aren't satisfied.
I'm not an independent, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat, I'm a revolutionary.
We're never going to be satisfied. Black Lives Matter isn't a trend, it's a movement. Black Lives Matter forever, okay?
And we are no longer not. We are demanding entrance, and we are not taking no for an answer.
We can defund the police, and maybe one day we will abolish the police, but we ain't going to do unless we have control over them.
So you see, these anarchists aren't concerned about race or fairness. They want power. They want the public living in fear of what retaliation may come next. It's why facts never matter to them. Look at this latest officer-involved shooting in Columbus, Ohio. The cop who shot and killed a knife-wielding 16-year-old should be hailed as a hero in my mind. He saved the life of the girl in the pink sweats there. The girl he killed, sadly, tried to stab that other girl. It's clear on the video. So as an officer saves a life, tragically being forced to take another life, and still the Black Lives Matter crew goes crazy, egged on by a devious and uninformed media.
There was no attempt to use pepper spray or a taser, non-lethal force, while a knife can be seen in the footage before the officer fires his weapon.
Can be seen? That's Brian Williams of MSNBC. She's swinging the knife all over the place, trying to stab somebody. Pepper spray is not going to stop that. Use a taser, he says. That is far too risky, by the way, and may not stop the potential killer in time. In this case, watching the video, it's clear. The safest, most effective way to protect innocent life is to use the firearm in this case. But Brian Williams refuses to admit that. You can see it all right there on the video. Because Brian Williams knows an angry cop-hating crowd, whipped into a frenzy that takes to the streets looking to destroy, is, of course, good for ratings. So he interviews cop-hating race baiters like Jason Johnson.
In 22 seconds, he shot her dead. An honor roll student who's making TikTok videos on makeup and hair. This hasn't stopped.
So look, I'm saddened. A 16-year-old resorted to grabbing a knife and tried to kill someone. But I don't care if she just left Build-A-Bear on her way to ballet class. The officer doesn't know her background. And honestly, her background does not matter in all of this. She is clearly seen trying to stab another teenager. Why is this officer now not billed as a man who just preserved life? Instead, they paint him as the enemy. And though the Chauvin guilty verdict may have happened minutes before, like race, it has nothing to do with this case.
40 minutes after that ruling, a 16-year-old girl can be shot in front of her house. So no, I'm not hopeful.
Well, guess what? I'm not hopeful either. I'm not hopeful about America's youth and the training they get from people like Johnson, who you just saw there. Training to embrace outrage, violence, lies. That can children be so confused? This is what they do to them. They absolutely confuse them, that they resort to trying to stab friends. But this is where we are at today. Young men and women think it's okay to loot and steal, burn and destroy whenever something doesn't go their way. Maybe grab a knife and try to stab a friend. And what I see now is they crave this violence and destruction, thanks to the violence-inciting left-wing politicians who lead them all.
Serve as a reminder that a single verdict in a single trial will never be enough. This goes way beyond party or political faction. Racism strikes at the very core of this country.
It's always about racism with them, right? The sad reality is they are all unaware that every move they make, every ridiculous demand that they level actually weakens their own argument. They call for defunding of the police. That'll only make policing worse. Less money for training, more problems will certainly arise. They vilify officers. Fewer good men and women will choose law enforcement as a career because of this war on cops. That only leads to more bad cops. And when they look at you and lie, claiming fiction as fact, they destroy themselves, their delusional arguments, and sadly the minds of the uninformed that they seek to control.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.